Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 40. Yeah, that's 40 of the Night Shift. We've got DDK and Jason Kaplan joining me. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. Emmy Award-winning Chris Puckett, by the way. DDK, Call of Duty won the Sports Emmy last night for esports. We got to celebrate.
What is an Emmy?
I think it's like a trophy you pay for and then eventually put in your garage somewhere. It's something that I think other people really deserve, and we got it somehow. We're going to celebrate throughout tonight's show, though, with some prize money going to our friends. Jason Kaplan, we've got the best in NA and EU. What's on the line tonight? What are our players playing for other than Pride in the newest update?
I cannot even tell you the prize pool because I don't know if we're still doing the 1250. We're back to the 600. Maybe ZP, if he's here, can chime in.
We're not showing ankles. We don't know the prize pool. It's 1250. All right, we're starting the show strong. Let's jump into this one by talking about the format. As we don't know the prize pool, we do know the bracket. Dan, it's going to be 2 EU challengers. Then we get into the EU finals, NA challenger matchup, and then the NA finals. You'll see a bit of a surprise here, though. Melee Creeps, who just won the most recent DSI, are playing in a challenger matchup, and they've been on a 7-match slide. Are they the team to watch tonight, or who are you excited for, Dan?
Who am I excited for? I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to see, honestly, all of these teams, because I think there is actually parity amongst all of these teams. And we just had, I mean, I kind of feel for the Death Slam Invitational a little bit, because they ran into that like crazy mid-earn patch, and everyone was like, not sure about this. And, you know, it was definitely kind of chaotic. And I think there was consensus that it was it kind of reduced the game. I mean, we'll probably talk more about it later on, but it felt a bit reductive to the overall gameplay of Deadlock. And so now the Urn's back in the side lane. They have obviously maintained some of those dynamics of how the Urn is captured and so on. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because that will be new today in terms of what Deadlock or Pro Deadlock actually looks like. And I do think that was going to change how you're going to draft, as well as a lot of different things. So a lot to be talked about, but I want to see how all of these teams do today because of all of those changes.
I want to see where does rebuttal go in terms of item priority, because I feel like there's going to be a whole lot of parrying around the Urn. It's going to be a whole glorious mess. Before we get to that, though, we got to thank the patrons. These are the folks that have supported us since day one. Kaplan, we are celebrating 40 episodes today. We're nearly closing in on a year, and we've had the OGs like Afax with a $250 donation to start things off with Tetsio, Skinna, and we've got so many new Night Shift residents that have joined our family with just $5.
You know, I think Afex and Tetsio have been here since maybe week 1 of the Night Shift. 40 weeks.
Like negative 30.
Wait, what do you mean negative 30?
Like before we were even Night Shift, they were supporting us.
No, we didn't have a patron before we had Night Shift.
Oh, then I'm a liar. They're just watching the show without paying us.
How dare you lie, Puckett?
The original patrons.
Are you lying about the Emmy as well? Because come on, COD winning an Emmy? Esports really that dead?
It was pretty good. What game do you work on, Jason? Deadlock. That's why we're here tonight. Let's talk a little bit about why Deadlock is popping off, because Walmart wants to join one of the newest games in the business, DDK. We've got an open going on, and we want to welcome the community to compete in it. What do you see coming our way this Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, well, as you can see, as it's front and center, $12,000 prize pool, enormous, massive prize pool here. This will be a North American event, but it's an open, so teams from all over are welcome to join in on those open qualifiers. You can see that'll be on May 29th,
well, Dan,
and then we'll be live with the broadcast on May 30th and 31st.
I technically no, because we in 7 minutes of having the applications online to sign up for our open qualifier, they were all gone. There were 64 slots.
We got to add more lines to the Google Sheet load to add more lines. We can't be maxed out. My team isn't even signed up. We need to get the Sneaky Beavers in business. I made jerseys and everything. If you guys missed out on the open qualifiers, don't worry. I have a feeling Intel and Walmart are going to love what they're seeing. The community has been incredible. Your support for all of our sponsors has been fantastic, to the point where we've been able to make sales decks, sell it to brands as big as Walmart and Intel. And they're like, you know what? This is a good idea to invest in. So thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for showing up, playing, and of course, course, our way of giving back is through the prize pool, $12,000 for a North American event. The money keeps going up to the point where people are complaining on Twitter about what's fair and not. DDK, before we drop into the drama, though, we've got to introduce the teams tonight. Would you like to tell me first about our EU challengers? They go by the name of the Abrahams, and they've been looking pretty darn good recently.
Yeah, Abraham's definitely, they've been performing better and better, obviously, since making some of the changes. Abrahams have been an interesting team because they were one of our first most dominant teams here in Night Shift, and they're sort of on that way back. They didn't have as good of a time in the DSI, but again, I feel like the DSI will have that asterisk over it. That mid-earn, it was a little bit crazy. It really changed
the mid-earn battle
enormously, and so I feel like that's not going to really phase them all that much. But together we're in a Yamato. I mean, again, maybe we'll talk about the statistics. Apparently, Yamato not doing so well, at least at DSI, but Yamato is really strong right now.
Yes.
And Pocket's really strong right now. Probably won't get to see it, so that's unfortunate for Empty Dreams. But everybody on this roster, I think, is pretty well known.
Shout out to Stormy Day back in the chat. Please do not get a DNA test. Sanya Sniper could be a player to watch as well in the new meta. If it's going to come to a brawl, Saint has the best hands in EU, right? Jason?
I mean, we're talking Mo 1v1s. I can't deny that whatsoever. I think this man has yet to lose a single Mo 1v1. I think the interesting thing about, if we're talking about throwing hands here, is maybe for Empty Dreams in particular, as we had seen in the DSI event, an uptick in certain M1 heroes like Wraith, for instance. And Empty Dreams has kind of transitioned into that M1 player for the team, and Sonya's swapped on over to more of like a brawly kind of style, a brawly kind of hero pool. So I think for me, Empty Dreams, he's got to be able to throw hands and throw it well if they want to be able to take down Low-Key W, who beat them 2-0 just a few days ago.
Right, let's talk a little bit about that competition. We've got Leviathan waiting in our finals matchup, and Low-Key W, is in that championship match. Leviathan will be the challenger. Overseas, Fremok, Rayek, OCs, Razumi, and Sai. When I look at the squad, I can't look past OCs on the Mina and Overseas supporting him. He's had a great shiv in the past. He's been a brawler. Dan, you mentioned Billy. You've been seeing a lot more in your games. Do you expect Overseas to be playing the Billy, Fremok on the Shiv? What do we expect to see tonight?
Yeah, I think Billy's interesting because Billy, I feel like people kind of slept on Billy a little bit. He was kind of disappearing from the meta. If we ignore kind of the recent earn changes and that recent patch that we had, Billy was still actually in a very good state. And I think there was no one better than showing that than Snakes, who was still able to get a lot of great results on Billy. But they buffed him. His health pool is now significantly improved, so he's a really big threat. So I'd be shocked if we didn't get to see him, especially given how burger boxy the new earn dynamic is. Even if it is now on the side lane, it is still a lot of burger boxing that's going to be happening.
Kappa, what do you see when you look at this team?
Thinking back to last week, I believe we saw some adaptations in the team we haven't really seen before, and that was mostly revolved around Fremok and Rake in particular. Fremok, we're used to seeing play like Shiv, play like Apollo, be in your face kind of style. But he was actually playing the Celeste, and this time Rake was playing the Apollo. And I think this is kind of a deeper thing within the team. They realized what they were doing was not working, and they looked pretty damn solid in the beginning of the game up against Abrahams in the last week's matches, but they fell apart when it came to the macro play, and I think that's something they have to kind of revisit going into this week. But for me, seeing a team that's willing to make changes like this, it's at least them recognizing what they're doing needs to change, and I hope for them that they continue to push on that and continue to improve on it. So I think this is a real contender against Abrahams. I don't think it's a pushover anymore.
Dan, somebody in the chat said they want to see a 3v3 between the casters in production. I recently upgraded to a ritualist level. That's the red color if you're a noob. How bad do you think we would beat down Solomon, our producer?
I don't think Solomon has time to play video games. I don't know.
How bad would we crush Lotu, who has way too much time on his hands?
I don't know. I mean, we would have to be we would have to be able to first sync up with their sleep schedules, which is already a challenge in of itself.
Yeah, do you remember? We'll call in, Solomon's producing. Lotu's not doing it, so you can talk all the smack you want about Lotu. It's just on Sunday we have to be careful because then he'll be taking over the reins. Yes. No, we would shut Lotu down so easily. I could probably do it with one hand tied behind my back, and like one eye open, and probably still beat Lotu.
As long as Jake's on my team, I'm not losing to ZP. That's all I know. Let's take a look here at, of course, the prize money we mentioned. $1,200 is going to be up for grabs, $1,250, I believe, for the regions. And we will be celebrating our players along the way with all the donations. Speaking of donations, apparently we had a way to do it way back in the early days of Fight Night, Jason. It was on the website. It wasn't on the Twitch. but it was on there. Just wasn't a Patreon. So shout out to the OGs like Den is Twitch in the chat. We do have a Mo Krill battle coming up, and of course we got to talk about items. Everyone was seeing what was happening during the urn. I was asking the world, what year is Deadlock based in? Kaplan, when do you think the cursed apple is supposed to be taking place? 1940s, 20s?
Isn't it? So I'm going to go for a good year before it started to go bad. I'm going to go like 1943, 1942.
See, because what I heard in my game is that Hitler actually designed the mid-urn. Is that more accurate, DDK?
I will not comment, but I think isn't it 1920s is the time periods?
Okay, see, it wasn't Hitler. 1920s is way too early for him. So, Lore Lord, you were wrong in my ritualist game. I believe she was playing Lady Geist, and her name cannot be repeated. I reported her. Let's talk a little bit about the players, though, that we're expecting to see here. There's going to be 12 of them in the lobby. Who are the best ones? And, of course, who is going to take advantage of the new patch, DDK, with every new buff we are seeing, or sorry, every new update, we're seeing buffs to certain players.
Dude, I have patch fatigue. Like I don't know about you guys. Like it's these small patches from Yoshi, dude. I can't. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I see a big patch. like I don't know what that's gonna mean. I mean, this is
Thank you, Solomon.
ZP.
Smooth zipline grabbing.
Smooth grabs. Solar empowering rules. Re-expanding with an alternate set of mechanics. One dropped out the. Yeah, I can't keep up with this. This telestrator's too fast, Solomon.
Earn timer.
Oh my god, dude.
It's down to 3 seconds though. Yeah, restorative shot, it's better. So Graves got even better. Slowing bullets, a little bit worse.
Whose line is it anyways at the end where they have like scrolling credits and they're doing like some like ending part of it? Oh yeah, big shout out Huntazor. The fire rate reduction increased from 14 to 15%. And you can't forget about Frenzy. Trigger debuff resistance increased from 30% to 40%. Dan, help me out. Jump in, please.
Okay, rebuttal. Power cooldown reduced from no, it's gone. No, it's gone. I can't do it. I can't even read as fast as he. But lifestyle now grows plus 6% weapon damage. Battle vest weapon damage increased from 15 to 80%.
Can you read 900 words per minute, chat?
Going?
Say it out loud to yourself, record it on a video, and send it to us on Twitter. We are DL Night Shift. We come to you every single Wednesday, and Yoshi watches every single episode.
I know he's
so
watching
Yoshi,
right now. Look what you've
on
done.
behalf of everyone who I offended about the mid-earn joke and what I repeated from a stranger that is playing your game, I apologize. I didn't mean it. He probably didn't mean it, and we should still report him. His name is Nick. We talk a little bit about Billy looking better. Calico has been in my game. She's getting smashed. I see Graves is winning every single game, it looks like. Dynamo is crushing all of the fights. Why is Graves so good at the lower levels, and does she extend to the pro level, Dan?
This is like a Greek epic. It just keeps going. Can someone stage an intervention with Yoshi at Valve? Why has that not happened yet?
This may be the best segment we've ever done. We're winning the Emmy next, guys. We found out it only costs $400 to apply. With your money, we are going to apply, and we are going to win a 2026 Emmy. Or 2027. I don't know when they give it out. Shiv got 3 updates. Venator got 2.
What, Wexler? I can't tell. I can't read the name officially in chat because it's very confusing. But we should do this like the Star Wars intro, where it all goes like backwards into space, because it probably would have been just as long.
Yeah, that's true. That would work. Oh, it's slowed down. It's come to a halt, but that surely is not the end. Is that the end? That's the end.
And now let's go back to the top, guys. Let's go back to the top. Let's see some of the ones we missed. Here we go.
He's got it on a mouse wheel. This is top tier production from the top, ladies and gentlemen. Base
run it
HP
again.
Reduced by 10 for all heroes. HP per boon reduced by 3. Thank God. Knockup durations are now affected by debuff reduction, and that's all you need to know. When it comes to the items, though, what are we buying other than rebuttal? Kaplan, what are you buying in your games?
Can I go back, though? Because I think one interesting change is that shrines are not vulnerable until one set of base guardians are down. And we saw, I believe it was last week, that we actually had someone, it was a Zergi, like trying to take down a shrine, running past the base guardians. I think when he was on Viper in that game. I think that's actually a really good change. I think you shouldn't really be able to just bypass that sort of mechanic. So I'm a big fan of that, honestly. I think that's like one change we had to point out.
That's a good catch. I like that my game no longer like goes to 2 frames per second. They updated that in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, mid boss as well. Thank you. See, mouse wheel extraordinaire. Mid boss spawns at the beginning. I don't think we're ever realistically going to see it being done in the beginning, just because it's such a
not in this
coin flip.
game.
But it'd be so cool, Dan, to see if it did.
Yeah, like in Dota, there's a world where it's kind of possible, but that's also partly because Roshan is on the river. It's kind of a bit out of the way and kind of a bit hidden off to one side, whereas mid boss is underneath the mid lane, so it just doesn't seem practical. But that's a possible thing that we'll see. I don't think.
What about the fact that you could use abilities while carrying the urn too? I think that's also very interesting, because it makes certain heroes that you typically wouldn't want to be carrying it to actually carry it. Now, like for instance, Kelvin was one of the ones you wouldn't want to carry it because you want to have that dome to use to be able to lock it on in, or to, I guess, start the channel of it. I think that's also a really cool change. I think even Victor was hit. That is Aura of Suffering no longer does 50% damage to walkers. Also, his gun or his bullet damage was reduced, so maybe the wall breaker Victor we won't see as much going forward as well. But the real shame is that, DSI didn't slide money to the table to Yoshi and say, hey, could you change the urn? Because that's what we did, and that's how we got to change for this show. We don't have to deal with the mid-boss urn.
Thank you for your money. We're putting it to good use, ladies and gentlemen. Dan, lots of changes. We're going to see the new meta being displayed by the pros. We know they've been grinding. We've all been watching their streams. Is there a particular meta that you're hoping to see with the new players trying out new heroes? Brawler style? Is that the new wave?
I'm not sure. I do think that because of the urn fights and the way that the urn fights are now sort of under the bridge on the side lanes as opposed to on the outside, I do wonder kind of how that architectural change might maybe make some heroes a bit more impactful. The ones that have these area of effect abilities of like varying kinds, they might actually have more impact. But at the same time, again, we're gonna have to see how these urn changes really do affect the macro of the game, because one of the issues with the previous urn was that you couldn't trade off of the mid urn. Like you couldn't go and say, they're taking the urn. We don't really have as good of a comp for that, or a little bit too behind. We can't really have a good fight. We'll just go take a walker. Like that was not something you could do. You had to fight for the urn. And so now we're going to go back into this world where the game is a bit more forgiving in that respect. So it might not pressure you to have these comps that are so heavily objective designed as they were in that very short previous method with the mid urn. So I think honestly we could see pretty much anything. I think there's more of a wealth of variety that the teams can kind of go for, and like we've been saying, like so many things have been popping up, like the Billy, the Wraith, the Venator coming back a little bit. There's so much stuff that's being changed as well. So I'm sure there's probably some unknown tech that we'll probably see today. Celeste is still insane, by the way.
Thoughts coming into episode 40. Rem is back, says Colaris.
Rem, yeah. I mean, the little rat that he is pretty damn strong, man. The fact that Tagalong now you can provide that burst healing to secondary targets as well makes him a lot stronger in the amount of healing that you can do in these fights. We used to see people buy like Echo Shard on their Tagalong. So you would tag along to one person, then you could pop it and tag along to someone else, or tag along to the same person. You apply like 40% of their missing health. I guess it's technically not 40% if you calculate that way. Was just insane healing. The fact that nap time is still extremely strong when you're fighting around these objectives, like the urn turn-ins as well now. I think Rem will still have like a high priority in picks, but it also makes me wonder, will we see like some other heroes that we haven't seen in the past, like maybe Paige as well, have a higher priority due to the fact that urn is different.
Do we have any Rem mains in the chat? Can you run a gun Rem and like split shot around the urn? Is that ever worthwhile? Is it worth buying a refresher and putting everyone to sleep twice, Dan? Or is it just a waste of money? No more talking and filling time. We got Saint ready to show he's got the best hands in the game. He's wearing the blue trunks. Oh. Never mind, that's Leviathan. Saint in yellow. And he's got the upper hand early.
Is this allowed? Are they allowed to change the location of fight?
Yeah, of course.
As long as it's a fair fight.
Yeah, mid-boss is like spawned in, so you can't... I mean, that's part of the gimmick now. You don't want to hit mid-boss with a melee, or he's going to start attacking.
That's true. Technically, we get production to make sure they just kill mid-boss and spend an extra 10 minutes to like...
40-0. Saint gets it done again. Not really. They haven't been in the challenger match that many times, but Abrahams will now have the advantage, and they're going with first pick here, DDK. We're going to get the bans out of the way. Who do you not want to see in your lobby? Pocket? Seemed like Pocket was pretty good at DSI.
Yeah, I think I would expect to see that still. I don't think there's any reason why that would have changed. We'll see. It's the Billy. Yeah, I mean, we talked about how Billy's like very, very good right now. Again, like just getting massive bonuses to health, so it becomes very, very difficult to kill, and in these urn fights as well, gaining way more value because of how much time people have to spend around that position. You know, you can't be up on the side and the stairs like in all these spots where it's easy to break the chains. Billy can kind of be all over you, so he's really increased in value around those objectives with those changes. So, and there's the pocket man.
Kappa, what do you go with first now? The bans are out of the way.
I mean, hopefully get rid of this cough.
Number one pick in the game.
It's Silver. Oh, yeah. What did I guess there? I mean, Silver. Has she ever been bad since release? And I feel like honestly, it's been a no. Like she's been viable in every single meta we've seen past the initial release of her. I'm also curious if we're gonna see like Doorman still being played here, because that was still a heavily contested pick. Thinking back to last week, so was Bebop as well. And there's Doorman coming in for Leviathan. And again, I'm really curious for Leviathan. How are they gonna position Rayek and Fremok in particular? Are they going to continue going from what they did last week by swapping up the roles? Or are they going to switch things once again to be more of a comfort? But Dorman's already a strong pick off the start, especially when it comes to these urns.
Shiv is in.
Fremok on Shiv.
Leviathan's got their guy. Kaplan once crowned him the greatest Shiv on the planet, or just you?
That was ZP. I have a different opinion.
Oh, you argued against
Shiv.
it. That's right.
Yeah,
All right, that's ZP's claim. Sorry, ZP has a Leviathan Shiv poster on his wall. On the other side, Paradox is a bit early compared to what I've seen in the last 10 weeks. I feel like Paradox kind of disappeared for a minute. DDK, why does she have value in the current meta?
Yeah, Paradox is just very, very good with some of the buffs that Paradox received across the board. I think the gun damage output is like really insane, and obviously like the setup that you can do with Paradox is like it's really, I feel like, just kind of a return to how Paradox used to play. And Celeste did get I think another damage buff to the ultimate, and just generally Celeste is appearing to be one of these heroes that every time she gets nerfed, you think that people will stop playing her, but then actually people are playing her even better, and it's like actually no, she's still like really insane. And so you know, I mean, Celeste really good. Should get a magic carpet on her too.
Oh my God, magic carpet! Don't even get me started.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah. But Paradox, I think one thing she provides though in the current situation of the game with the urn is the fact that you can swap a whole team away from the urn, and that means you can lock it in too. I think that's one big factor to her strength now in the way the urn is being played out, which is why maybe she's coming back into the meta. But man, magic carpet, the fact that you have like negative 15% gravity, the fact that you can float forever, it feels like a Celeste. I mean, I've seen some like Shiv videos of Shiv with magic carpet, and my lord, if we talked about movement before, it just becomes that stronger, or that much stronger going forward. But that's still like a pretty big investment to go for if you wanted to go for something slightly gimmicky as that.
No one builds an
DDK, Silver just got caught up with by the chat, and Cosmetical, who is playing in the finals for Low-Key W, was the first to a woo. See a Silver main? Are we expecting a Silver contest in the grand finals? Is this just a preview?
I think it's one of the ways that Cosmetical has to flex off of, you know, a pocket that's just going to get permabanned, and I think also Mina seems to have dropped off a little bit. I don't know where the value is. She did get like some slight adjustments. I think she's still very good, because before those adjustments, I mean, I felt kind of broken. At least the ult was really insane. So I think she's still good, but there's definitely like a lot of other promising options. You know, you've got Victor, who's still very good as well. Obviously, a little bit less powerful with some of the changes. And again, you can't do that walk breaker stuff because of the way that the shrine dynamic has changed now. You can't just skip onto that one. But yeah, I'm liking how these are developing. I think Talon is worth talking about, Jason. This is like something that's received a lot of extra power as well.
Yeah, I think they changed around like his rain of arrows. I was trying to brush up on like all the patch notes, but it's like really difficult to do so.
There's so much, yeah.
Do we have any GT mains in the chat? Why are you now valuable in my lobby? Because historically, I never wanted you or Vindicta on my team.
I mean, like for GT, I could see if you're going for contestant urns, the owl's big. The fact that you can do a lot of damage from range as well with the charged arrows, the power shots are going to be pretty massive. Rain of Arrows had a slight change as well, that it like casts quicker. It has its cooldown reduced as well, so you're kind of able to stay in the area a lot more often now, and kind of away from the danger that could be coming your way. So I can kind of see the GT, but how it's going to work out with such like a semi-squishy lineup here with like Doorman, GT, Wraith, and Sinclair all together is going to be tough. And also the fact that Doorman also got changed, where you can't just instantly like close doors anymore for escapes. You have to leave them open for I believe like 6 seconds. So it makes it a lot harder to play the way we've been seeing Doorman played in the past.
Was Doorman too elusive, DDK? I felt like he was fragile enough to be balanced. Why take that away?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just look. He's handsome. He's got those like gorgeous like, blue eyes. You know, why
Great
wouldn't
hands.
you want to play him? Actually, it's actually interesting because last week Europe was banning him. I think really routinely, and it was NA that was letting him through a lot, and he actually was losing consistently in NA, which was kind of amusing. But I'm actually looking forward to seeing how Leviathan might actually play him, especially in this current meta. Should be really fun. I'm most excited to see the strong Yamato though, because that's kind of reminds me of the OG Yamato that we had in Deadlock. That would be like this hyper carry spirit burst character, and that's an identity that Yamato had lost. But I think with these changes, Yamato has the potential to kind of be back there.
Saint has one of the best hands in the game. It's his left. He plays Mo and Krill. At least for the 1v1s. Will we bring it into the big stage? Not tonight so far. Abrahams versus Leviathan. It's a best of one on the mic. Jason Kaplan with DDK. Jason, let's kick this off.
Yeah, let's kick it off indeed, man. Dan, I am so excited to see how this one's going to break down our first cast here on the new patch in particular. Not to mention giving us some reps going into the weekend, man. To see EU get so far in DSI, Low-Key W making all the way to the grand finals, losing 3-0 against melee creeps. You're going to have their chance yet again here in our 12K prize pool, the night shift open over the course of the 2 days. So yeah, man, this is going to be exciting. And I think this is going to be a really good test to how teams are performing with the new urn. But also, I'm curious on your opinion, Dan. I also kind of expect teams to maybe not show anything that they might be hiding going into this weekend, because $12,000 on the line is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's definitely a good point. I think there's so much that is unknown in this meta too right now that it might even be hard to know how good something is. So I could also see an argument going the other way where because there's so few days going into that huge tournament that we're hosting over the weekend that you almost want to maybe get some tournament reps and stuff that you think might be good to try to make sure that you don't run into a problem when you're actually trying to execute it on the day. I mean, ultimately, Jason, just with how fast we patch this game, looking at you, Yoshi, it feels impossible. Like, what do you do as a team?
I mean, I thought Deadlock isn't I thought there was no competitive scenes for Deadlock. I don't know. I saw some tweet about that. I'm not sure what that was about. I mean, it's. I think looking at like the lineups as well here, Dan, you talked about Mirage having, I believe, some like really low win rates when it came to DSI over the weekend. But I think part of Mirage's strength obviously was the fact that you could split push extremely well. With the R&B moved back to the side, will Mirage come back into his power that we expect him to have, or at least had in the past weeks? I think that's one interesting note to keep an eye on. But also the increase of Abrams as well over the last few weeks. We saw Saya playing Abrams in the DSA finals. Now we're seeing Saint. We have seen before as well. Abrams getting a lot more love compared to, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. He was like never picked, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think Abrams is really, really nice because of how it can also synergize with Paradox. It's kind of a classic combo. You know, being able to swap into an Abrams charge is absolute money. It's so powerful to displace people and also just an unkillable tank, really good spirit damage, and really good on these objective fights. Just, I mean, it's, you know, we all know how well Abrams can play, and I think if Billy's banned, it's probably a great go-to. They've got Victor as well, so the front line is really, really strong for Abrahams.
I mean, I think, you know, we always talk about like what comp are we favoring. We talk about like which team's stronger when it comes to mid boss. I think when you start talking about which teams are stronger when it comes to the urn, because I'm looking at Abraham's side. I mean, having an Abrams, a Victor in a front line, even a Silver, and then having like support of a Paradox to keep people away from the actual meleeing of the urn, I think provides you a really strong combo. But the one downside to that, I look on Leviathan, is that you have the range damage from Rayik on the Great Talon. You have the Rabbit Hexes coming out of Irazumi on the Sinclair. And then you do have like some amount of like frontline skirmish with Yamato and of course with Shiv as well. And Yamato could easily get the urn dropped or swapped on over because of the Shao transformation, which we talk about in the past as being a mid-boss controller, like a win condition for taking mid-boss. It's now kind of a semi-win condition for locking in urns too.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, actually. Just like kind of picking up on how the front line kind of changes the urn dynamics. I'll be so interested to also see, by the way, just the new comeback urn. Obviously, it's something we didn't really talk about, that now a comeback urn is kind of inverted in a way where the drop-off point is the same as the neutral urn, but the comeback position is just like more on your side of the map, so you can sort of more guarantee that pickup. So that's because this has been an issue, I think, for sure. If you're a team that is behind, going as far out into the middle of the map on a side lane to grab the urn is kind of a tall order, and having that whole dynamic of holding an urn hostage was much easier for the team that was ahead, given that if they're ahead, they have map control. So, you know, you're always having to fight for that. And you're also isolating yourself away from the important parts of the map because it's the side lane for the team that's out of control. So it's just very disadvantageous. So I kind of like, theoretically, the change there.
Yeah, and I think I'm all for that as well. I think it was always frustrating to have the team just get control of Erd because they're ahead of you, and then they just hold on their side of the map. But now the fact is, if they want to contest that, they have to go on your side of the map, which gives you an opportunity to go for a fight, which I guess you could technically argue both ways, because if they're coming into your side of the map, they're still going to be stronger, but it does give the opportunity to set up for a fight. I think more importantly is the big factor here. But also one change we haven't mentioned is the fact that boxes don't spawn till 3 minutes now, no longer 2 minutes. So it delays any maybe like early rotates to look for the boxes to go for those ganks, because typically at the 2 minute mark you could go for a gank while taking boxes, and then you have like a net positive because you get the kill, you don't get the kill, either way you're getting boxes. Now are we still going to be seeing those ganks at 2 minutes, or are we going to see it delayed now to 3?
Yeah, and something else we didn't mention, like, honestly, there's so much stuff, but the Guardians also are a little bit easier to kill. The resistances on the Guardians, I think, what was it? They started like 50% instead of 75% or something. So essentially kind of speeds up the early laning phase a little bit more in terms of how quickly you can take down the Guardians, reasonably so. So that's another thing that should actually have a pretty big impact on the game. Because in addition to that, Jason, I think the tier 2 camps, I think, didn't they go from a 6 minute spawn time to 5 minutes, I think?
They did.
So that should speed up the game a little bit too, in a sense.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I think, like, I've never done the math when it comes to that, if it's like a net positive economy wise or a net negative. But it is interesting changes, and also I'm kind of happy to see they're willing to go for some jungle changes on top of this and boxes. Because I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I still was never really a big proponent of the way the boxes are used currently, and the fact that you can just kind of farm them forever and still not really far behind. In my opinion, you should kind of be punished for doing something like that. But maybe that's just down to teams going for a catch on you, going for box running. But yeah, either way, keep experimenting away. Whether it's Earns in the community hating you, they should also understand it's still closed out the game, and big changes are worth it. Because I would hate to be Counter-Strike right now, where they get an update every like 3 years. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of time right now. Sort of, I mean, we're technically still in this, I suppose you could call it like an early access or a closed alpha. So yeah, this is really the best time to make sure that you can kind of really tune in some of these ideas. And so I actually am really looking forward to seeing how the urn dynamic now kind of plays out with some of these changes and getting away from the madness of the mid-burger boxing. But we're starting to get towards this, I guess, towards the exit or the off-ramp of the early laning phase. We're not too far away from that now. But interestingly, we talked about how much easier it is to damage the towers. The towers haven't really taken much damage at 7 minutes.
Yeah, well, we do see a little bit of action finally happening towards the mid lane, with Sonic Sever being thrown into the Baroness Hotel. In the meantime, Enter Dreams chases down the kill into Overseas. So a 2-for-1 advantage for Abraham's in the mid lane. We might see that Guardian go down, as you mentioned before, with some final pushing power coming on through. We do have to respect the Shadow Transformation out of Sign, ready to go. And I swear, Irizumi has just been consistent on low HP as he finally does get executed on the right-hand side. And Abraham's coming out with 2 kills. I was going to say early on, but Dan, we're almost 8 minutes in, and it's only been 2 kills.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, all this talk about, faster tempo. And not really worked out that way. Do you think we'll see McGinnis, by the way? Because I feel like McGinnis is also better with some of these changes. Definitely in the previous turn, but not...
I think, yeah, in the mid urn, I think it's easier to play her because you can't really dodge her heavy barrage that easily, and there's a lot of angles your turrets can attack from. But when we get to the side lane turn-ins, I don't think it's as easy to necessarily play her. I mean, even like Puck was talking before, we were seeing that there's a couple of like S+ tier heroes now, and Seven's to be considered one of them. I think that's mostly just due to the fact that you could just storm cloud in mid lane and you can't really dodge the damage, and you're guaranteeing an earn turn for your team. So I think it's all about the pros here, and what we see is the first Guardian has gone down. And Sai's able to at least return a kill here. They do lose OCs, but they get 2 for themselves, and probably a Guardian here in the mid lane as well.
It is interesting, because one thing I will say in McGinnis' defense, because I've been playing her a little bit with the new side lane urns, is that she's really good at defending the urn turn-in because of the wall. It actually makes it really hard for the opposing team, unless they are kind of close to you. If they're zoned away in any way, you can just lock them out of the urn turn-in completely with the wall.
Yeah, that's not a bad point. And I'd be interested to see if we do see teams go for that. But also, I mean, at the same time though, Dan, I am a little bit worried about teams who heavily invest into a comp based around urn control, I don't really know how well McGinnis would fare like later on in the game when you start playing around mid boss, you start playing for, you know, these big objectives where she'll be viable enough to win some of these team fights like we saw previously before the ult was nerfed down. But yeah, I think it's something definitely like teams and players will knee-jerk reaction to and see like a nerf and think, okay, this character's dead. But speaking of dead, it's gonna be Saint here.
I see the enemy.
Yeah. At any rate, I guess to close down the thread, it is certainly, I think something we can agree on is that it's fertile ground right now for teams to experiment and to find new interesting things that can be quite strong. But speaking of which as well, I mean, I was mentioning previously how much I was like looking forward to the Yamato, and it's been sort of dominating Sai in this 1v1 against Celeste. You know, Spirit Burst for Spirit Burst. It seems like Yamato coming out on top so far. And Celeste being behind, you know, MC Dream 6.6k souls against Sai on 10k. That's starting to be quite the difference.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised to see Leviathan sitting on this kind of lead right now, considering how it felt like the game initially was starting off. But they earned the first one of the game finally to spawn in here on the right-hand side of the map. As we transition over towards the left, and you can already see at the moment Leviathan have a majority of their players in this position. And obviously with no Guardian to defend on the right-hand side, they're going to leave Rake there to continue to farm on the Great Talon. His Owl will be up soon as well, so they can use that while he sits in that lane if they want to continue to have him farm. But this Erd, man, it is getting extremely quick across the map here. And it looks like, I'd almost say Leviathan are planning to let this one go.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. Not really looking for a challenge here. But also not taking anything else on the map in terms of position. I mean, they're coming into this. Actually, looks like they might go for a late challenge. Someone going to be able to sweep in and get a quick melee off on this one. I mean, there's all this to protect it, and you got the parry on top of it. Abraham's ready for it. And Abraham's getting a couple kills out of this too. Sai is critically weak, able to escape the fight, I believe, on the zip. So just maybe some indecision, Jason. It seems like Leviathan got kind of caught off guard.
Which is kind of surprising, because I feel like you should know that one was coming. I think their maybe decision was to allow OCs to push down this right lane Walker by himself, but obviously with the Mirage enemy team, with Arzo, you're not realistically going to have a free opportunity to take a Walker. So if anything, Leviathan going to come out behind. They were up about 4,000 souls before the Urn. Now they're just dead even between the two. Yeah, I'd have to agree, man. Maybe a little bit of misplay here, especially losing players after the Urn was already done.
Something else, by the way, as we're on Shiv did get some changes as well. I think the only one I can remember, because there's so many, is that the slice and dice, the spirit resist that you reduce. I think it was 8%. I think it's now down to like 6 or 5 or something. There's like some small change to that, but I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference in how like powerful Shiv is, especially in these 1v1s, especially at full rage when you're slice and dicing people. Nice kill, just undeniable. The entire team is here now. No cooldowns available to really do anything else, but hey, I mean, taking down Sanya, maybe it's worth it.
I mean, he does distract for a very long time, though, and this left lane Walker is going to be pushed quite heavily here, as we already see some zoning coming on through. Together's gone down as well to Rayek, which means they're going to be down another player, and this Walker, I would say, I mean, it should be taking a hefty amount of damage, if not being finished off here. Slicing Impact being stolen away. I mean, thrown in out of Irazumi. And connected into a retreat instead. And they do keep the Walker alive, but look who's deep, man. Sai is extremely deep, and honestly, Sai's dead.
Gets punished. And there we go. MC Dream is able to get some recovery on the soul situation. Again, really important, I think. I've been mentioning it quite a bit because just the strength of Celeste is pretty enormous. And we've seen that in many of the matches, that you can go absolutely crazy on Celeste. I recall seeing Do having some insane performances on Celeste in the DSI tournament, for example. So always good to keep an eye out on that one. Everyone on parity, more or less, across Abraham's in terms of the souls. 6k advantage across the entire team. So really, I feel like flipping that early game advantage that Leviathan seemingly had. I think it was that Urn, Jason. I don't know if it's hesitation or what it was exactly. Maybe they felt like, oh, we're not going to make it in time, and then they changed their mind, something like that. But ever since then, they've been looking at, well, just a deficit.
I mean, yeah, the Urn turn in plus the 2 deaths after is what I think really set them behind now. I mean, obviously still continue to look for this Walker down to half HP. Rake in the sky here, trying to do some good damage. The Owl coming on through. He's only at plus 10 at the moment. He's not going to connect this one either, as Faither comes on in from the side, and that should be another kill for Together to come on through. But they will lose the Walker. Fremont does finish this one off, but it's going to cost him his life most likely.
Interesting. Okay, so there's 2 traits for the Walker at least.
Yeah, turn
Love
around.
to see
I got
that ambush.
I got all confused. I just said Fremont killed the Walker, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't really make sense. But Abraham's get the Walker. Sorry, Leviathan. Oh, I'm all done, man. I am all jet lagged. It was Leviathan getting it on Shiv. I'm gonna shut now. Dan, you take it away.
2 Walkers to 3. The blue team leads.
So good, Jason. You know, you can use a jet lag excuse. I'll give you another week on that one if you want. It's all good. Well, either way, you know, the lead is closing a little bit here. Leviathan, despite losing some tempo after that first urn, bringing things back here, and we're about to hit the second urn. So the 15-minute urn, positioning on these high ground spots, looking for the buffs first before the urn spawns in. So looking good here for Leviathan on that high ground. Now Abraham's kind of making their way across to that left bridge that overlooks the urn. And Victor, in these close quarters, definitely looking to do some good work. Ultimate is available, the shocking reanimation. So again, this front line from Abraham's is really challenging. You got the rabbit hex used there.
He's still the shocker animation, and that's why we see together immediately just back away as he realizes there's no point in killing him right now. His ult's going to wear off in a few seconds. They also have control of the urn here, more importantly. And they also, at the same time, have Arza pushing the right-hand side. So they have like lane prayer on the right-hand side if they can get the urn here quickly. That would be getting them back-to-back dunks. I think also one thing we should talk about when we have time is the fact that you have less stam recovery now when you use a wall jump. Something we've seen quite heavily out of, like we talk about movement in general. Also, Ray goes down to the Jin's mark, man. He is able to take down the old man in the sky there, giving them the man advantage potentially for this urn turn-in. And they're defending it quite well here. You can see it's going to be dunked on in, and that's now 2 urns. And you're looking at a massive soul lead as well on top of that.
Yeah, that's really shifted. It like the last minute and a half shifted enormously. Yeah, and I think that's that sequence there where we saw the challenge from the Fremont on Shiv into Abrams. I think that's like really shows some of the issues here because there's so much frontline to get through, and the frontline for Leviathan is very thin in comparison. It's basically just Shiv and maybe a little bit Yamato, kind of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're trying to see like Leviathan wanting to play from range here with the GT and with the Wraith. I think it's like Wraith has no protection. The Owl coming on through here is going to connect onto. Still waiting. Nice. All right, it hits one. It hits Tassin. It doesn't do anything after that one. But trying to get a catch, and fortunately for Leviathan, they're not really going to be able to turn it into anything.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to credit Abrahams there for just a great disengage. They picked a really good timing when Leviathan were looking to collapse, and they just got enough space between Leviathan and themselves to disengage and do so very safely. And so far, Abrahams have been really dictating the macro. With that said, you know, they are down a Walker, but we'll see if they're able to remedy that situation. Leviathan managing to recover some of this deficit, now just about 12k, so not marginal, but not game-breaking in any sense. And there's some time now between the next, and now on the next urn objective. So a lot of jungle to clear up on the map and potential opportunities to go for plays, whether it be for picks or to try to prioritize, you know, the wave control, and maybe try to like focus on a Walker here, just like pressure one side of the map. That would be something I think Abrahams would love to do.
I do wonder though, Dan, is there value in Abrahams not extending their lead further right now and trying to keep it just in line? Because if you do so, the next turn won't be a comeback urn, and you can use that one to really be the spring point forward to actually take this map if they continue on this pace.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's like just so much control from Abrahams here in this mid position. Yeah, the death ball, kind of a death ball to be honest, with the with all this front line. Looking to drop in for the mid boss off that pick as well, especially with Irizumi very low. No ultimate there for Irizumi. No Yamato in the picture. This is a great setup for a mid boss. The Crystal now dropping from the ceiling. There's a swap that comes on through, but who's going to be able to pick this one up? The Baroness is going to be occupied for now, and it's going to be Abrahams all over this one. 2 crystals claimed against the 1 for Leviathan. Leviathan doing a good job to challenge this one.
Overseas is going to use that crystal, unfortunately, on the doorman as he just res back on up here. And Abrahams, I mean, they're not too healthy. Empty Dreams low, Saints low as well, but Arzo's here and he's looking for damage, and Fremock's going to fall again to the Jin's mark, and that pop doing some crazy amount of damage. And I think Rake's going to fall here after as well. This is going to be Abrahams picking up multiple kills, but they have to be careful to protect their 1 remaining crystal because Sonic Sniper has consumed 1 of them. And I think they're going to be relatively safe here for now. Actually, sorry, no, the task goes down as well, so no rejuice left now for Abrahams. But the thing is, with a minute left to go here, and the extra income they had from that, there is the world that they can take this turn and dunk it. And I don't think they have quite the lead right now for it to be a comeback just yet. Obviously, I'm just trying to buy some time here, but he's still going to fall.
Yeah, this is a challenging situation right now for Leviathan. They were starting to catch up a little bit, but then, I mean, good timing on the mid boss there from Abraham's, taking full advantage. Everyone in position on mid to just go for the drop on it. Pretty well done. Oh, look at this. Cosmetical gifting a sub. Shout out to Cosmetical. And again, I mean, at least for Leviathan, I gotta say, they have that Walker advantage. That is helpful to have.
Can I counterpoint you on that?
Counter me.
A bit. I mean, because having the Walker is great, right? Because they were able to actually push up to the base gardens. The waves they kept shoved into that lane. You see the base gardens down to almost half HP. But also, that does mean that the lead that we're currently seeing for Abrahams, or the deficit that Leviathan has, is actually going to be much bigger when we finally see Abrahams go for that first Walker.
True.
And I don't think the economy is quite there yet to make use of that flex slot just yet. But it obviously is going to be very painful for Abraham's having to continue to monitor that lane, especially when you could have a shrine being backdoored after those guardians. But I don't think Abraham's going to give them the opportunity more, as we see them start to group on this left-hand side looking for their own Walker.
Well, interestingly, we're going to get a look at least at the first comeback earn. Almost a 20k advantage now for Abraham's. It was 15k when the urn spawned. And back in the Baroness Hotel you go, Victor, but they're going to be able to convert on this one. Victor does have shocking reanimation, so... Oh, do you really want to trigger that? But actually able to... Is he actually going to survive this? Okay, there it is. Shocking reanimation. They're going to go for the finish here. Is there any assistance coming? I don't know that there is really. Victor might be in trouble if they can try to lock him down, but using the verticality of getting, scaling the rooftop really effectively to get out of this fight. And in the meantime, the urn has been collected by Leviathan. And again, this is a comeback urn for them. But here is the trade. The Walker on the other side of the map will be claimed by Abrahams.
I mean, it's such a perfect Walker to go for too, Dan, because it's on the side of the urn turn-in. So a really good call being made here to shove that one on through. Means they can take the Walker and back into the urn territory. But Leviathan, they have a man advantage. I think this could be a really important factor. Not to mention, Together's not even here. Neither is Arzo. I think this can be a free turn-in, but I think instead Abraham's going to turn this into a Walker take on the right-hand side and go 3 for 3 in Walkers.
Yeah, this would be... I mean, again, you're giving up an urn, which is not great, but if they're able to play up against a 2v0 Walker advantage, that's pretty nice in terms of map control. It gives them more options to go to recover, but you can see the defense there is... It's enough. It would have slowed things down. OC's is 22k souls. He's looking pretty strong in Wraith, so they're going to fall back out of that one, and there might be a pursuit here. Side looking for this one. There's the ambush straight onto Victor. So Together we'll get out of there. Doesn't have his ultimate up at the moment, and wanting to take full advantage of that, Side gets blocked.
I think there was a debuff remover initially out of Together to stop the gap close. But we can already see Yamato extremely low on HP. Size being chased down as well. He's going to fall. And 2 quick kills here for Abrams, potentially into a third. As OCs is finally showed up here towards the fight at 23,000 souls, doing fairly well. And considering they took down Arzo, the biggest stacked player on the side of Abrahams at 29,000 souls. That's a big win for Leviathan, even though they lost out on 2 players. That means Arzo's down for a minute of time. It means he's not farming for a minute of time, more importantly. But you need to respect the rest of Abrahams. You cannot afford to lose players here after that advantage.
Yeah, God, it's so solid, this lineup. I mean, one of the things that makes Silver really good is that Silver has picks. With the bowler, Silver can find a lot of kills, and the burst damage is so powerful that it can set up these opening windows to get really quick kills before there's too much of a response. And we see it in action there from Sanya Sniper. And despite the slow start from Empty Dreams on Celeste, I think leading the server right now in terms of souls, or is it Arzo? Arzo actually a little bit ahead, but otherwise looking really healthy. OCs has a lot of lifting to do here.
He does, and I don't know if he's kind of at the point where he could do the lifting himself. Again, with such a squishy front line, with basically as we talked about before, with Yamato, with Shiv, it's really difficult to have protection. You have to play so careful when you have an Abrams who can run at you, a Victor who can run at you, even a Silver who can catch you off guard. And I also do wonder, is Saint even building towards a Phantom Strike here, making his job even more difficult? But Abrams have shown they can just chew through the front line of Leviathan. And unfortunately for OCs, he is quite far behind Arzo. And I think Arzo just wins these 1v1s on Mirage right now until OCs can get a couple more items built up.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, it's actually really problematic because one thing that really benefits a Mirage is having a frontline like this very, very strong, because yeah, like, it gives Mirage all the ability in the world to position around the fights to do maximum damage and really not be harassed. And that, I think, is a really big issue for Leviathan. It's very easy to catch Talon. It's very easy to catch Sinclair or potentially OCs or Overseas. Like, all of these guys are pretty kind of weak. There's not a lot of direct support and disruption that can help them if they get targeted or focused. So be very cautious about that.
The movement. I'll say this though, you know, I'll give ZP credit. I don't think Freemock's the best Shiv EU. I want to lean towards cosmetical, but Freemock's movement is pretty damn good when it comes to Shiv. You've seen like all the bounces he's doing, but even when not coming to the escapes, the fact that he can move so well to really capitalize on these boxes as quickly as possible, to have as little downtime as possible, is definitely brilliant. But we're getting the urn spawning one more time here, Dan, at 25 minutes. Another comeback urn once again here. Last one was given up and Leviathan were able to secure it, but they did lose 2 walkers for it. And Abrahams have grouped up on the right-hand side to do the exact same thing they did before, of going for that walker and then blocking the urn if they can.
Yeah, really smart play. And the salt disparity is kind of where it was in the last turn about 5 minutes ago. So 20k difference. So that hasn't changed too much. And looking to force the mid-boss here. Okay, very interesting. Do you drop the urn? I mean, you got to do it. If you want to challenge this, you have to go in now.
They have shard transformation. This is really risky of Abrahams, and if anything, they should back away. It seems like that's exactly what they're going to be doing. They know exactly where Yamato's going to be now, off to the side with the urn in the middle of this battle. Has to be so careful. Finally dropping down the urn. But the battle's continuing, and Empty Dreams has initially gone on down here, so Leviathan with a good start. They can continue this momentum. Saint's low on HP, Together's low on HP as well. The bird hits 2, Son is down below half HP, and Tass able to at least capitalize on a kill onto Freemock. It looks so good to start with for Leviathan, but now they're dropping like flies, losing Freemock and Overseas together.
Doors proving useful as ever, sometimes for both teams. Everybody very low here for Abrahams as the fight over the mid-boss continues. Really good disruption from Leviathan. This is such a pivotal moment for them. Four players up here still for them. Leviathan really looking to try to flip this situation. OC's still quite strong as well. Don't know how he's doing on the cooldowns, but with Sign out, getting these 1v1s, that is definitely where you want a Yamato to be. And they've managed to run the disruption play, but they haven't maybe converted maybe quite as they would. If they would be able to actually force a mid-boss, get it, that would be huge here. But it just feels like there still could be too much of a threat from Abrahams for them to really go for it.
I mean, I think Leviathan honestly did a fairly good job here, because they traded 3 for 3. But more importantly, they kept Abrahams from taking the mid-boss here. The thing is, they're running back for the urn. Shard transformation's not up anymore, and honestly, Abrahams could use this as a time to capitalize and finish this one off, even though they're still going to be down 2 players. The urn is continuing to move on cost, and I think Abrahams, they have to be going for mid-boss right now. This is such an easy opportunity for them, but I think they're going to respect the fact that they're not too confident, and it is the best of one at the end of the day here, Dan, so you don't want to lose a game just because of going for mid-boss and having it as a throw.
I have to say, right now, Jason, Leviathan are threading the needle, because with that mid-boss engagement, like you said, it was very sketchy, but they managed to get that 3v3, just like you mentioned, and now they're getting the urn. But that, like you said, is also a risk, because Abrahams could have jumped on top of the mid-boss if that's something that, you know, they felt like they could just chance. And if they would chance it and the variance goes their way, they're getting a mid-boss. Game's over, pretty much. Or at least very heavily in Abrahams' favor. So Leviathan cutting corners, taking risks to try to get back into this game. Right now, as Freemock is under a lot of pressure, and there is his Slice and Dice doing a lot of damage, but now the Lycan Curse comes out, and that surely should help to finish things off, even against a Shiv. Or is it enough? I don't know. Freemock is still alive.
He's done some good damage, man, with the Slice and Dice with the counter spell as well. It's spot time for OCS to get here to get an initial kill, and OCS is on a rampage now. 31,000 souls. That's the refresher. Shocking animation now down. It's not going to have this one up, so they can potentially kill him for good, but he's also on a kill streak. And Freemock is doing some serious work with 2 down to Leviathan, only being, what, 8K behind? This has been a massive turnaround, and OCS has closed that distance up against Arzo and started to hit some stride here with Rico and with Mercurial Magnum. He's starting to put out some really good work here and some really good damage. And are they going to do this one, Dan? They do have Irizumi with the Rabbit Hex. They don't have Sai here. They're going to looking to lock this one down, and Abrahams aren't in position to go for the contest on it.
Yeah, this is probably the best opportunity they're going to have. And Abrahams might be forced to challenge this. We are even on souls right now. Leviathan slowly but surely coming back here and now making the play for the mid boss. And it's a full heal for OCs on that one as they capture all 3 crystals. And this is the pivot moment here for Leviathan, picking up the mid boss after, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes of being behind. And Taz gets assassinated by Overseas, and suddenly OCs has truly come online, and we haven't really talked about him in this game, Jason. OCs, he's been a little quiet last week. You know, he didn't have the best performances, but OCs is an insanely good carry player.
He is, and we've always talked about Leviathan as being a team revolving around him, but I think we've seen in recent times, like Freemock and Rig, or Rig in particular being added to the roster, has alleviated some of that pressure that OCs has to always perform in these games. But you said something, Dan, just now about Leviathan being behind for the last 5 to 10 minutes. I want to bring up a soul differential because I'm pretty sure they've been behind, I think, for the entire game so far, and they still have yet to breach the gap. Okay, so they were ahead for a split second there earlier on in the game, but man, it has been pretty much all Abrahams. And for them to hold on like this and pick their moments to fight, thinking back to the last 2 urns they were able to dung, the contest on mid boss, and Freemock, I think, find a lot of freedom for his team with the damage he's been doing with his slice and dices, but also the survivability he's been able to show. Leviathan have bounced back, and that lead is just, it was almost 25,000 at one point, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's really incredible the ways that they've held on, you know, maintaining the walker advantages all throughout, despite being down on those deficits. I think that really helped them significantly, but does get collected this time for Leviathan, and certainly with the heavy front line, we have seen some of those fights be more favorable, or at least go better for Abrahams. And this is a moment where they really need to, they would want to try to contest this, but it doesn't look like they're all that interested. I mean, obviously with the rejuves available, it would ultimately be a losing fight, so can't blame them. But I think that just goes to show the helplessness that they're currently in right now for Abrahams, and what are they going to do to like bring this game back? How do they nerf OCs?
I don't think you can anymore unless, I mean, maybe we can check in with Saint, because I haven't actually noticed if he took Phantom Strike yet. Because Phantom Strike, I think, has insane value in this game, considering there's a Great Talon and there's a Wraith.
Feel free to give
And speaking of Wraith, Ars goes down once again. He's able to set a trap with his team. And Arzo has been on a death streak. Yes, he doesn't have Phantom Strike. And I think Phantom Strike would be such a decent win against OCs to really shut it down. Obviously, Warpstone helps quite a bit. But Saint, I feel like he's been just shoulder charging whatever he can hit at this point and not really too focused about the back lines. And I think that's, again, where I was talking about Freemark before. He's been eating a lot of these abilities. He's been doing a lot of damage. And he's been, more importantly, surviving, making it easier for OCs to have space and Reg to have space to do damage.
Very interesting stuff. I wonder if we could get a look at the damage at some point. Production could pull that up. We could see kind of who's doing the most output. And you can see from this that actually, you know, I guess not too surprisingly, Talon and Shiv leading the way for Leviathan. And maybe more surprisingly so for some people, Taz on Paradox actually leading the server with his damage.
Yeah, Paradox does a lot of damage, man. I think the worrying thing is that Saint's only at 10k, and he's like way behind the Sinclair, which, to be fair, Sinclair can do a lot of damage with Vaccine Bolts, and you have the safety as well. But for your Abrams to be so low is definitely painful. As now we're gonna see the Shrine starting to go down here. Finally, the Reju being used by Overseas. I think that was mostly due to the fact that, actually, no, we did have a decent amount of time left on it, but they do consume the last 2 charges back to full HP. They take the base gardens, they get a Shrine as well, and Leviathan are in the driver's seat. Look at the lead they now have, about 25k here, 32 minutes in. I didn't really think Leviathan was gonna be able to bounce back with the lead Abrams had before, but my lord, they are doing so. 40k
yeah.
shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, very, very challenging to be up against OCs here. Using high ground really well. I feel like that's something that gets underestimated by a lot of players, is high ground usage. Maybe, you know, not the pros necessarily, but you know, your average player. All right, so the entire jungle in the bottom half of the map is completely cleaned up. Abrahams, they've got nothing else to do but to go forwards.
Maybe get a catch on a Freemock, but again, it is Freemock and it is Shiv. So who's really the one being caught here? As he goes back on in. So it's nice, ready to go once again. Does get a connection onto 2, man. This escalating exposure plus boundless and unstoppable is even Healbane and like the Dispel Magic on top of that. He's so slippery and has so much damage. gonna dash on through once again. Sound is gonna be blown on up here in the man advantage back to Leviathan. You have mid boss in just under a minute of time. You have Earn in about a minute and 20, and OC's just going full W onto this team, forcing Arza right back in his own base.
Even though things will turn a bit more into the OC show into the late game, I feel like if it's the case of Leviathan win this one, and I'm voting an MVP, I probably think Freemog, based on his contributions throughout with Shiv. But we're getting back into another base assault here, looking to finish the job. Leviathan don't have any Rejuve crystals for this, but they don't feel like they need them. Okay, maybe they do. They're out. They're gone. I mean, mid boss is spawning, so yeah, you gotta go for it.
I think it's worth going for that. Maybe even worth going for an Earn turn in too, because it's still gonna fall within the time that you have the Rejuve crystals, and then go for like one last buy and then potentially the finishing move. And Abrahams are being quite strangled here in terms of farm too. You already pointed out there's nothing left to take on their side of the map in the jungle before, and the camps are slowly coming back up. But Abrahams, do you just go for the contest here? I feel like it's almost worth it, because realistically, are you going to be able to defend being down 30, almost 40k behind Leviathan? And I would say not really. As we do see the engage coming on through, Taylor going to be leading the charge. Remember, he does have Refresher, and stopping being used by Freemog as well. And the Rejuve Crystal is going to be starting to go in the way of Leviathan as they get the initial 2 as Saint falls, and the 3rd as well. Abrahams, they go for the contest, but they get shut on down here. And Dan, it looks like Leviathan will be advancing through to play against a low-key W in our finals.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what a turnaround from them. You got to really respect how some of the risks that they took, the corners that they cut to be in with a chance to actually be in this position to win. And again, amazing performances from Freemog throughout. I think, again, he's got like the solo front line in this team. And so he had a lot of focus fire on him at all times. It'd be very interesting to see actually the damage taken statistic. I don't think do we have damage taken?
I think we maybe have that. If we have time before the Hidden King does fall. There's a possibility that we have it.
Okay, we don't think that we have that.
I'm not giving it to you guys. You gotta wait for the end screen, because this game's over.
I think what's so crazy about that match though, Dan, is that even though the game changed quite a bit when it came to Earns, the quote-unquote old meta of heroes still reigns supreme, of like very high damage, high bursty, not going for that tanky front line that we saw in like a previous meta. And Leviathan, I mean, they lose the initial 2 Earns. They did take a Walker fairly early on, but they just held on long enough that their damage came online. And I mean, a lot of their damage was Freemog, man. He's got to be the MVP in my eyes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think he performed amazingly, especially given all of the space that he had to create all by himself in the first like 15 to 20 minutes of the game, which look highly impressive. I think it was the 20-minute mark where they were still 20k behind. And that was when they started to find the mid challenge, the mid boss challenge, which really turned things around, or began to do so. So really, really good stuff by them. I feel like Sai did a great job on Yamato as well. I think this early
he ran that first Earn, right?
Well, he ran the first one that they got, I believe.
He ran the first comeback Earn for Leviathan. So if you're looking at the score, we're at 10-minute mark. Leviathan is up. 12-minute mark, we're tied. 15-minute mark, Abraham start to really pull away. Where does this all flip?
I think, as Dan was saying, it was around the mid boss, like the contest against Abraham's not allowing them to really get it for free. I think it was the second mid boss, if I'm not mistaken. It pulled Abraham's back. It also forced them to give up that Earn. I think it was the second Earn that we saw that side turned in. They gave it up for free. And I think maybe that was like the big turning point for them. But also, not to mention, like Freemog did hit a point where he was relatively unkillable with his like innate movement of him as a player, plus Shiv, plus the fact that the damage he was doing, the build he had of like escalating, he had counterspell, dispel, magic, unstoppable. He had so much sustainability and survivability, more importantly, that I think Abraham's invested a lot of resources to take him down, and they couldn't even do that.
Overseas got a lot of love for the chat for this play. That was the contest at the first mid boss, and you can see at this point it is about a 17k differential. You pull it back in the next 20 minutes, and somebody said I stepped away for 5, and now it's 30k behind for the Abrahams. If you're looking, Freemog was of course getting a lot of the attention, but Overseas on the Wraith looking way better than we've seen the Wraith in the past. Is she now gonna be in our lobbies more often, DDK?
Yeah, I think Wraith has made a resurgence for sure. We saw a lot of play through DSI as well, where Wraith looks really, really good. OCs is an exceptionally good Wraith player. You just have to... Like, Wraith still does need farm to come online and to begin to take over that late game, and so you do need to create the space for that to happen. I think for me, you know, obviously Ray did incredible work in terms of getting great damage output on Talon, as you'd expect, but for me, again, it comes back to Freemog. What Freemog was able to do to ensure that the pressure was off of the backline for Leviathan, because he was against, like, you know, the Shiv against the Abrams, the Victor, and also Sign Sniper on Silver. Sign Sniper played really well, I thought, on Silver.
Yeah, I think in the early game, for sure, he had a lot of impact. You can see, like, 4 and 12 had was at 16 kill participation across the board, one of the highest on his team. You know, tied with Tass here at 16, but he was really impactful early on, but he definitely fell off as the game progressed further on. I think one thing you can't really underestimate is, I mean, we didn't really talk about Rake too much, but he put up 40,500 damage. He had the most damage on his team. Yeah. You look at Sane at almost 15K, Sonya at 30K, together at 24K. Arzo, I think that's the crazy one, is that Arzo, who had the most souls on his team the entire game and had a big lead over like the likes of OCs, only had 23,000 damage done. That with Ricochet, with toxic bullets, with escalating, that should not be a thing. And whether that's to do with the fact that Leviathan were able to focus him down quite quickly and easily to keep him out of his fights, or he just didn't have the safety to go for like damage, it's a big miss, I think, for him to not have more damage done.
Was he just purely going for farm the entire time? Because when we checked in, Taz is sitting at 34K and he was down at 21,000, Dan. He finishes at just 23.2. He must have been dead the entire time.
Yeah, Arzo was in the side lanes a lot, which is what you would expect from Mirage. I think Mirage, again, you expect to come online in the later portions of the game when Mirage is farmed up, and you want to see also Mirage maybe like creating a lot of split push pressure. But something else we have to remember is that Abrahams, despite having the big lead that they did, Leviathan were actually doing a better job on the side lanes. They were up walkers the entire game, despite at some points being 30k souls down. They were still up walkers. Okay. So the macro game was better overall from Leviathan, and that was a question that I had if I went back to watch the demo. You know, where was the value that Arzo was trying to find on those side lanes, and was that a part of the composition that was a problem for Abrahams, that they weren't able to as effectively split push?
I do want to say though, Leviathan did I think a relatively good job shutting him down. There was multiple times that he was farming one of these side lanes, and they had like a 3-man gank squad to shut him down. So like the global presence out of him was kind of non-existent, and they did take him out of. He only had 4 deaths, but it felt like he honestly had more. And I think, you know, you have to give credit to Leviathan to prevent him from really running away with the game.
Can we give a shout out to Joe Nathan 811, who points out 3 less kills and 40k up. Is that all from Earns, Dan, for those that missed game number 1?
Was it all from Earns?
I mean, Earns are worth more later in the game for sure. They got I think 2 in the end. I think it was like 2 for 2. I think a lot of it was also maybe like jungle control. I think they were taking away a lot more camps than the Abrahams, especially in the later stages of the game. They were obviously like farming waves pretty well too. And I think a lot of the times we did see Abrahams grouped up like in mid lane, or grouped like having too many players together, meaning that you split the souls in that wave not as ideally. And Leviathan kept themselves spread quite more consistently, so they're able to keep up in souls and eventually pull ahead in souls towards the end.
Chat's talking about the Earn drama. It's way better than what it was when we were all fighting in the middle of the map. So let's smile as we take a look at your MVP. He goes by the name of Shiv, aka the best in EU, according to ZP. Freemok does it better than anyone else. 4 kills, 4 deaths, 7 assists, but he was fighting for nearly all 33 minutes of this game. Dan, as we take a look at his performance, what stood out while watching the Shiv player?
I think, you know, Freemok was extremely aggressive. You know, there are points where I think after this kill, he's so aggressive that, and he does get this kill, but the entire rest of the team starts to gank him. Ended up being value for the macro because, again, Freemok was so aggressive in so many of these positions and attracted so much attention. It actually gave opportunities to the rest of his team, even in spots where he died. And, you know, just making sure that as a Shiv, like, Like he's just constantly pumping the damage. The slice and dice, does enormous amounts, especially, with all the spirit damage because it makes you more spirit vulnerable. That it ended up being the case that Freemok was staying really competitive on the damage output. Like all throughout the game, he was having impact when it mattered the most.
Why are all of our highlights him just standing around a dead Victor ready to counterspell and then just
farming the shit?
I swear, he had better clips than this, but I'm respecting.
Lotu's like, I promise I'm not gonna miss this Victor kill. He hates Victor. Shout out to Lotu, the Victor hater. Shiv with some big plays, and we don't expect it to end right here because now, Dan, we're going to a best of 3, and I don't think you're gonna waste all of your bans on a Shiv, are you?
Probably not. No, probably not. Yeah, there's definitely stuff that's higher up on the list.
It's going to be good. Kaplan, we're going to take a look here at our bracket and update everybody with how the tournament works. If you're new here, you're going to be casting with ZP for the EU finals. Why should people stick around to watch Leviathan?
Because Cosmetical is going to pick Shiv and show ZP that he's the best Shiv in EU. And if he does so and they win, I will add the emote that he wants, the 17 emote, into chat for him. So you heard it here, Cosmetical in chat. Is he going to do it? He better. Or he's a wuss.
You're going to add an emote for Cosmetical? Something about a bottle? I don't know what it is.
No, it's more of a bug emote.
Oh, bug emote. Incredible. We've got 7,700 of you hanging out with us on twitch.tv, even more over on YouTube, and we want to celebrate that this is episode 40, and that was just the appetizer. DDK, final thoughts on our EU Challenger battle.
This was great. I actually really liked how this game played out. Much more regular Deadlock. That last turn was a bit crazy. So I'm excited, man. I think the games are getting better and better, like week in, week out. I think the teams are feeling more and more jazzed and putting more and more time in. And they have to because it's really hard to win right now. So super stoked to see the Shiv battle. That's for sure.
Yeah, ZP was gone for the first hour. He was sorting out the open bracket, which is going to be happening on Friday. Reminder, we have matches coming at you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here on the night shift. Walmart and Intel combining for a $12,000 prize pool. And on top of all of that, we are entrepreneurs here at the night shift. This is a 10 to 12 person owned company, and DDK just launched a second company today after working with our friends at Shopify. He's been coding like a madman. DDK, as we go to break, what is metal?
So it's probably not relevant for the audience here, but it's I've created a tool for day
these
traders.
Kids are rich.
So you can just check out my Twitter if you want to see that. But yeah, if you're into day trading, then it might be for you.
DDK Esports on Twitter. Check it out during the break. We'll be back with more Deadlock. It's episode 40.